And what if we actually believed that the people sitting there in the pews, the great unwashed, the plebs, right, the uneducated, just sitting there receiving, what if we actually believed, like clowns at the thing, you throw the balls in there. What if we actually believed that those people out there, oh no, that's you, actually had gifts, talents, God-given passions for specific things. And then we just went, how do I encourage you and equip you and release you to do that? What would that look like? You know, so much church ministry is spent trying to stump up passion in people for a task. Come on now, give your money. Yeah, money, fantastic. Give it in the offering bag. Give it in the, hand around the debit machine or whatever. Zip, zap, that shows how old I am. There you go. Or we've got a mission. We're all going out on mission. Oh, no. Great, we're going out there with the flannel board and everybody's going to hell speech. I hate this. Everybody, we're out there, so everybody's got to get involved in the mission. Come on, let's go. What if rather than trying to stump up passion in people, we just found out what they're already passionate about by God's grace and went, have at it. What do you need to get that up and running? How can I support you in that? How do we resource you, encourage and equip you to do the thing that God has given you to do? Then we don't need to worry about stumping up passion because they've already got it, right? They're already infused by it. They're already filled with it. And all we're doing is winding them up and letting them go. Yeah, have at it. See you when you get back. Let us know how it goes. Brilliant. 2 by 2. Hey, out they go. That's a completely different church, right? That's a different beast. Suddenly, using your gifts, talents, and abilities isn't something that you have to get rostered on the roster to do every term. It's something that you go, I can't wait to be involved in that. Yes. I can't wait to get out there and preach the gospel in the street. I can't wait to get out there and pray for people. I can't wait to run a mums and bubs group. I can't wait to do, helping like people's gardens, helping them understand how to plant, whatever it looks like. I can't wait to do that. And then we as the embassy go, great. How do I equip you? How do I resource you? How do I encourage you to do that? Different thing altogether, isn't it? What if we lived like that? What if we actually lived out of God's grace in light of the mercies of God? Presented ourselves a living sacrifice, not being conformed to the pattern of the world, but being transformed by the renewing of our minds as we pushed into, plumbed the depths of God's lavish grace for us and the gifts that he's given us out of that same grace in order to serve one another for the flourishing of the body, for the furtherance of the gospel, and for the great name and glory of our God. What if we didn't think of ourselves more highly than we ought, but we saw ourselves as one body, members of one another, that we belong to each other, and we looked after the health of each one of us as if we were looking after the health of ourselves? What if we saw everyone as gifted? Every single one of us gifted. And what if we sought to see every one of us released into the gifting, the calling, and the passion that God's given us? What if? What if? What's stopping us? What's stopping us from being that people? Because if we don't want there to be anything hindering us from being that kind of people, there doesn't need to be. Because everything that we need for that very calling, for that specific role, for that kind of community has already been given to us in Christ. All we need to do is believe it, trust him, and live it out. That's it. If we lean into his grace together, trusting in the gospel of Jesus Christ, this is the kind of people we could be. And I think that's exciting. What do you think?